Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for this Inspirata webinar. My name is Jason Amsbaugh, and I'll be the moderator today. In this webinar, Biff Curtis, Vice President of Sales, and Amanda Harvey-McKee, Customer Success Manager at Inspirata, will introduce you to case finding on demand. So thanks again for joining us this morning, and with that, I'll turn it over to our speakers.
Thank you, Jason. So everybody's joining us today. I know you're really excited, or at least really curious about our new to market solution. A lot of folks know that we've been leading the way here at Inspirata and cancer registry workflow automation for almost 25 years. We've had a long-standing partnership with the NCI program where we were deployed in close to 600 facilities nationwide, and we continue to partner with small facilities, large IDNs, mid-sized facilities across the country to help drive efficiency and accuracy in their cancer registry programs. We at Inspirata always keep our ear to the ground and we don't wait to see what the market's going to do. We really pride ourselves on leading from the front, and that is what the market has come to really expect from us at Inspirata. So we're happy to be here today and present this to you. Not only are we the most prolific partner in the AI-driven reportable only case finding space with 99% accuracy, we also lead the market in extracting up to 120 plus NACER data elements in real time and over 500 plus total oncology data elements. But before we get started today, I really want to take a moment to thank our team who has worked tirelessly on this over the past several weeks and months. Yulia, James, Michael, Mohammed, Sam, Sagi, Martin, Rodrigo, Prakash, George, and their teams. So much work, so much coordinated effort went into this project. I'm very proud of you all and I'm very thankful for your efforts. Today, we are extremely excited to share a new, secure, web-based, on-demand tool that can be used with your own reports to validate the speed and accuracy of our engine before you make a vendor decision, to help with your internal conversations around other AI or EHR platform tools that claim they can surface just reportable cases, and or to provide smaller facilities a cost-effective way to benefit from modern automation technology. So thank you for joining us today to see for the very first time Inspirata's case finding on demand tool. My name's Biff Curtis. I'm Vice President of Sales at Inspirata. I've been in the HIT space for nearly 3 decades, and I've found my most rewarding and most meaningful work of my professional career with Inspirata. Today, I'm joined by Amanda McKee, ODS, C. She has managed some of the largest cancer programs across the country and has been a user of ePath, ePath Plus, and our partner Onco's Oncolog solution. She's a trained ODS and has undertaken numerous NCI, NAPBC, NAPRC, and other accreditations. She can also relate to your current manual workflows and most of the struggles that you face in the registry on a daily basis. Amanda, thank you for joining me today to announce and present this first of its kind solution, case finding on demand. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself for those on the call that may not know you?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that generous introduction, Biff. I have over 25 years in oncology, just from research all the way through to the cancer registry. I've worked in all kinds of client environments, from big, small, and in between, including pediatrics. So I'm very proud to say that Inspirata is dedicated to ensuring our tools are not only user-friendly, but they provide the maximum benefit as well. We really strive to create meaningful products that are going to be impactful for all programs as we remain oncology focused. And that really brings me to our new product that we're going to showcase today, Case Finding on Demand. As you mentioned, our team worked tirelessly on this product, and we're excited to showcase the technology that really allows users a quick and accurate way to automate pathology and radiology case finding. That's really where you're going to capture about 80 to 90% of your reportable cases. As you all know, finding reportable cancer cases is a very time-consuming and a manual effort, and it drains resources. Having an automated way to make this process more efficient not only saves time, but it completes the task with a high level of efficiency and accuracy. The program is driven by our proprietary AI NLP engine, and that reviews the uploaded content for any reportability. It also provides a clean output with those only reportable cancer cases back to your team. It'll do it in a fraction of the time and it would take for a manual review. We've been doing this, as Biff stated, for well over 20 plus years, and we've been in hospitals across the country. So we are tried, true, and proven.
That's perfect. Thank you, Amanda. So, as stated earlier, there's really three main applications, the way that we see it, and for the case finding on demand. So, in no particular order of importance, I'd really just like to highlight a couple of the use cases and get some of your feedback here. So, the first use case that we see is that we want to be able to provide the capability for our client partners to use case finding on demand to support their internal discussions around the possibility of using other AI platform or EHR tools to run a report to do the case finding. So we been in a lot of sales processes, and we are hearing more frequently when our partners are going through their internal vetting process, and sometimes it brings things to a grinding halt that, hey, we have an AI platform. Let's see if it can do what Inspirata does. So the conversation really gets stopped until someone can validate, oh no, we can't do what they do. So now, we have this tool in place. But Amanda, tell me, as a manager of several registry programs, what are your thoughts for handling the discussion if someone from IT says, Epic can do what we do, Palantir can do what we do? How would you handle that discussion?
Yeah, it puts the manager in a tough spot because we know that if these tools could provide this, then we wouldn't need to have alternative solutions. I think the solution that we present to you today, our case finding on demand, is a great way to validate and provide that data back to your IT team, where you can take those 50 formatted reports, you can upload them into our secure platform. You can download the report and even submit those reports back to those individuals to give you a nice summary of exactly what our tool was able to find. And you can directly compare that to those other programs for an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, so I think, this is one of the things that we're really excited about. And we're going to get into the presentation here shortly, but understanding how to use this tool, when to use this tool, how to leverage it in your discussions. I think it's really important to understand that. And so we're really excited to be able to bring a tool to you for that discussion, with the EHR vendor, the third party AI platform, that they can do that. In the same manner, the second use case that I think is important to highlight is when a registry leader is in an evaluation of an automated case finding tool. There's multiple vendors. We know that there's a lot of noise in this space. There's a lot of people who make promises. It's funny because we'll post things, put things out there on our website, and then a week later somebody's putting the exact same thing on their website. So we can validate it, we can actually put it in our contract, but we want to put the power in your hands now. So take that same sample set of reports that you've already manually verified, run them against each vendor's engine, and then compare the outcomes. I think what you'll find is they can't provide, don't want to provide access to the outcomes before you're locked into a contract. We want to be as transparent as possible. The biggest fear for people leveraging AI is, number one, is this going to replace my job? And it's not going to replace your job, but it is going to make you more efficient. It is going to allow you to practice at top of license. But their fear is it going to work? And so we guarantee that it'll work. We put that into our contract, and now you can validate the speed and accuracy of our engine, where if you can't validate that with other vendors in this market, that should be a red flag, in my opinion. Amanda, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, as a former researcher in ODS, I'm typically pretty skeptical, right? So I want to see that this is working. I want that proof and validation. And being able to have the confidence to know that Inspirata's case finding on demand is in fact rules based. This isn't the generative AI that you might see through some of the OpenAI or ChatGPT or Grok. This is actually rules based. We have to provide rules for, several different standard setters. And so what we do is very prescriptive and precise, and we need to be able to count and trust on a product that's going to deliver back that precise and accurate rules-based case finding. So I always say at Inspirata, we were AI before AI was cool, right? So, but we are not the generative. I want to be very clear. We are very prescriptive. We are rules-based.
That's perfect. I appreciate that. And then really the last use case that I think we need to dig into, and it deserves a lot of attention. We have these small reporting facilities that don't have access because they don't have the budget to do what the larger reporting facilities can do. So it's really hard for them to leverage technology, and we wanted to put this tool in their hands to make it more equitable. So boom, we can use the same technology that the largest IDNs in the country are using, but we can do it at a much lower scale, at a much more cost-efficient method in a subscription-based tool. It reduces costs, it reduces IT burden, it reduces and eliminates lengthy approval processes. And ultimately, it mitigates the risk of negatively impacted fee schedules due to missed deadlines. Because I think what a lot of the workflows look like is that, hey, we're going to get to that. That's not our primary job. It's an oh, by the way, and we're going to get to it. And we're going to get to it. And it's stress. It's constant stress. And then the deadline passes, and then they get impacted on the fee schedule, and then it's a fire drill. So, talk to me a little bit about that, Amanda, as far as that last use case and really how this can help these smaller facilities.
Yeah, oncology is in a unique space right now where many institutions are losing funding. Difficult decisions are forcing staff reductions, and this is often impacting the cancer registry as well. Not to mention, many of our former mentors as ODSs are starting to retire. So you combine all those factors together, and it makes for a really difficult market where there's a shortage of qualified staff, and the impact leaves a lot of open positions. Meanwhile, our deadlines don't stop. They keep churning, and we're still facing the ticking clock, so to speak. So everybody's been sort of tasked to do what we say more with less. We keep hearing this a lot in the industry, but I can't re-emphasize how important case finding is. It is really, truly the crucial first step in the cancer registry. It's the cornerstone, if you will, that all of the other cancer registry data and functionality is based upon. So having a tool or access to a tool like Casefinding OnDemand that is a cost-effective way will really help any program start to fill some of those gaps.
That's perfect. I appreciate that context. And, thinking about this for what types of these facilities are, it's outside of what our market traditionally was. I mean, have traditionally been focused on COC accredited, all the cancer programs of specific size. This really opens the door to a lot of other facilities, the smaller reporting facilities, who are leaning heavily on outsourced folks to do this work. And let me just make a statement about that real quick. Without outsourcing, this industry, I think, would collapse. It is extremely necessary. I think they bring a lot of value to cancer programs. But I think in the same way that we leverage our tools to move people from eliminating the work that goes into the automated or the manual repetitive workflows, let's automate that. Let's let the outsourced FTEs practice at the top of their license as well. And let's bring higher value to all and higher quality to all cancer programs of all sizes, and not let it be a financial burden to them. So I just wanted to make that clarification, because we have a lot of folks that we work with that we respect that are in the outsourced area, and we just want to, they are necessary, but we have a way to reduce the front end cost, automate this case finding, and then get those into the hands of either the in-house or the outsourced abstractors. Let's let them focus on the abstracting and the quality work for the programs. But talk to me a little bit more about what kind of facilities now can leverage a tool like this. What are we talking about?
Yeah, well, whether you're an on-staff employee or whether you're an outsourced employee, you face the same challenges, right? So finding those cases and getting to move the needle forward with abstraction. But we can even go beyond that, really. So any physician or institution that diagnoses or treats a cancer patient, we know is required, actually mandated by law to report. So, thinking a little outside the box and going beyond just the cancer registry, that really includes any outpatient clinics, any single facility hospitals, or radiation clinics, for example, doctor's offices, laboratories, surgical centers, the kind of the list can go on and on. But all of those facilities that would need to report could technically leverage and utilize this tool as well to find their reportable cases.
Yeah, I appreciate you highlighting that as well. So, we've talked about these use cases and we've talked a little bit about our tool that you're going to upload reports, you're going to get an output, but then what? What does the process look like after they get the output? And how does that change what their workflow and process looks like today? Let's just talk about specifically a manual workflow. How is that going to benefit them?
Yeah, whether you're using more advanced tools or you have a manual process, the concept is the same, right? So what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you here in just a few moments, I know everybody's anxious to see, is when you process those reports, you're going to get back a very clean list of reportable only cases. And from this list, you're going to get enough information to be able to identify those patients and move those along to the abstraction process. That's a pretty efficient way to capture those cases, get those to the abstraction point, and start to move the needle forward on those processes. So you're going to get only reportable cases, they're going to be accurate, and you're going to get that in a very efficient and very quick fashion. We're going to show that here in just a moment.
Perfect, perfect. So just one more thing, just to highlight here. So the technological landscape is quickly changing, and it's hard to identify which companies to partner with that can tackle complex issues like cancer registry case finding with speed and accuracy. And that's really why we dug in. And this idea came from our CEO. He is a brilliant businessman, but he is a very compassionate person. He got into this business for the right reasons, and everybody on our team bought into his vision and wanted to bring his vision to life in this try before you buy and this case finding on demand option to test our products against other products and be able to really give a clear evaluation. So it's a test drive. You get to test drive it before you spend any money and make any long-term commitments. And we can get you hooked up to begin with this process after this presentation, but we'll make sure you have the right documentation. There's going to be a lot of questions, and I want to make sure we get to that. But just wanted to highlight that and the importance of why we wanted to go to market with this type of solution. And the two of the use cases that we discussed are not necessarily revenue generating use cases for us. And the other one is very, very, very small on the revenue generating side, but it fills a need in our market and we're here for it.
Well said. I think it's time to kind of jump in and let's, without much further ado, kind of get into our demo here. So hopefully you can see my screen as it is displayed here. This is our case finding on demand tool, and this is really what you're going to see when you log in. So the first thing you're going to do is create an account. You're going to get this dialog window that will pop up, and we'll just need you to enter a few key pieces of information, such as your name, email address, which facility you're working for. We ask here for the state for which your facility is located, so we can get the proper state case finding rules, because that's really important. And anybody who does this task knows how important that is. We want to match this up for accuracy. If you could pop in your annual case volume, what EHR you use would be really helpful for us. And then we'll ask you to click a couple of buttons here where you're going to validate that your reports, whether they're radiology or pathology, are in that proper HL7 format. Now, If your IT team doesn't have time to format those in that way, or you're struggling a little bit to get that, please reach out to us. That's something that we can offer, and we can do that for a small additional fee for you, just so that you have this opportunity to test this product yourselves. We're going to allow about 50 reports or 2 weeks time frame for this try before you buy. And again, we can run the scope here on radiology and pathology reports. Now, I like down here that should you have any questions, we do have a frequently asked questions list that will pop up here that you can click on. You can scroll through here and get a little bit more information. We also have a contact us. So if you get stuck or you have a question about something, you can click on this and you'll see it's going to take us directly to our website where you can fill out a few questions, and then a member of our team will be in touch with you to help guide you along. And then once you click the next button, you're going to get the opportunity to see our terms and conditions and our business agreement. You'll have to read through and select that at the end of the window. So let me go ahead and log right in here. This is what you're going to see when you log into the tool. It's a nice screen here reminding you that you're going to look at your radiology and your pathology reports only, and that they're going to be in that proper HL7 format. In case you're not sure what that is, I certainly don't know what that is. I'm not a technical person. I have a great team, but that's not really my forte. But I want to provide this to my IT team so that they know what I'm looking for. You can actually click on this hyperlink and you'll see that the file will download here. And this is all of our specifications that you can provide to your IT team. And then you'll have the ability, I'm ready to get started. Let's go ahead and process our documents. Now we have a couple of options here. You can either drag and drop your files, or you can select this Browse Documents. You'll get another window that will pop up that will take you to your folder, and you can select your documents from there. But I'm going to do a drag and drop. So I'm going to take my files and I'm just going to plop them in here. I like that it shows me what file I've selected so I can ensure that I've got the correct one. If I accidentally click on the incorrect one, I can just delete that, and then I can repeat the process all over again. So once I hit process, and I will give you a warning, this is super fast. It's very speedy, which I love actually. But as it's going to process the documents or the files within this folder, you're going to see a little green check mark as it's processing each of those files. And this is going to happen very, very quickly. So I just want to warn you all, I'm about to hit process and you're going to see just how quickly this works. So I'm going to click the button 3, 2, 1. You see it's moving through these files very, very quickly. And then I get a message up here that my report is ready. So I'm going to click on Open File. It's actually going to open it in a nice Excel document here, and you're going to see some summary information. So you'll see the number of files that are processed. You'll see how many reports are contained within each of those files, how many are reportable versus how many were non-reportable within the report. It'll also tell you if any one of these files actually fails to process. You'll get the total processing time. This is 2.62 seconds. I don't even know that I can open my email in 2.62 seconds, so it's very, very quick. The reportable rate, and then also where you are within your processing. We said we'd give you 50 reports or up to 2 weeks, so that'll keep track of kind of where you are with your usage. Now in the report here, you'll have the file name. So if you want to run multiple files with multiple reports, this is a nice way to keep track of where those specific reports came from, which file it was contained in. But more importantly, this report, as we stated before, is a nice way where you now have a clean case finding list that you can provide to your abstractors, and they can now start their abstracting process. So you're going to have patient name, medical record number, the date of birth, the type of report, whether it's a pathology or a radiology report, the report date, primary site, histology. We're even going to categorize the behavior code for you, laterality if it's available, and the grade. So quite a bit of information is already ready for you right here to get started with your abstract. Now, should you have one of those files that failed to process, in the second tab over here, we give you a little summary. This is going to highlight which of those reports were successful versus which ones failed. And that will help us with any type of troubleshooting to make sure that we get all of that information formatted properly for you, and you'll be able to run those reports. And when you're done, you'll need to save this report. We don't keep any of this information. This will be your responsibility to save this report. I'm going to close out of here. So let's say I forgot to save that. No worries. I can come back here and say either reset, or I want to process more documents and I can just process that file again. Either way. So if I say, let's go process more documents, it's going to take me right back to this screen where I can either select from my file or I can drag and drop. And then if I just hit cancel, it takes me back to my home screen. Just a few key features to point out here. We have our terms and conditions again, in case you need those for any type of reasons. You can scroll through here. You can be able to utilize those or provide those to anybody who would be interested, along with our business agreement. Our frequently asked questions are posted within the tool itself. And then last but not least, we have the contact us. Should you have any questions, run into any issues, that's available as well. And that kind of sums up the tool and its features and functionality.
That's awesome, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you for walking us through this very simple but extremely powerful tool. While it's fresh on everybody's mind, I think now would be a great time to take some questions from the attendees who have an interest in learning more.
Excellent. So again, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in this Q&A bucket. Essentially, you'll be able to click that on your Zoom screen and submit a question. This presentation is being recorded again, and you will all be receiving a link to it when it's available for viewing. All right, with that, let's go ahead and let's see what we have here for questions. All right. The first one is, what if I find a discrepancy between a manual review and the automated review?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And in that instance, it's an opportunity for investigation. How did that happen? Was it due to a missed term? Was it some fundamental misunderstanding of a reportability rule? But I think it's an opportunity for a conversation. It could lead to an internal QC project or just some additional learning opportunities with some staff. But either way, I think it highlights the efficiency of our tool, and then being able to have those important conversations and investigations as to, why are we missing those cases?
Well, thanks for that. The second question is, how does it work in setup if a facility reports to multiple states?
So if you have multiple states, for our try before you buy, we would just have you pick one state where your primary state would be located, and that's the state rules that we would apply for the trial. And beyond that, then we can have a conversation to see if this is a product that's going to work for you and how we can get you set up for those multiple use states. We know that in today's environment, there's lots of large systems spread out over multiple states. We have the state reportability rules for all of those, so we're happy to help you out.
Yeah, and I'd like to add there too. I mean, the Casefinding OnDemand subscription, the use case that we talked about for the smaller facilities, they may be reporting to multiple states, and again, we can address that. But if you're a larger facility, there's the report out. There's not a downstream workflow integration. So you think about, okay, I've got 250 reportable cases throughout the year. That's only a couple of months. It's only, 2 a week or whatever it comes down to, right? 2 a month or whatever it is. So, or 20 a month. What I'm trying to say here is if you're bigger and you need downstream integration, you need to look at our on-prem solutions. But if you're smaller and you can automate the front end process, handle the manual component, the second step manually, then you're in good shape there. Just wanted to establish that clarification.
All right, thank you. There's a question about the report. It says, on the report, there were some reportable histologies that populated that did not have MRN or name, et cetera, populated. Why would those not be captured?
Yeah, so that would only be captured if it contained in the report. That's why we also have those HL7 specifications. And as you can see on our report that we demonstrated, that was all just, demo data. There was no PHI that was disclosed there. So that would be definitely something that we would want to make sure that the report would contain.
Gotcha. All right. The next question is, I guess, really just how does the subscription service work?
Yeah. So, the subscription service is a tiered based service. And so initially, if you're interested in the case finding on demand or even the try before you buy, what we'd want you to do first is reach out to me. My team and I will help get you started. My email address is up there, bcurtis@inspirata.com. So eventually what this will look like is it'll be fully automated. You don't have to interact with us. But initially, we want to make sure that we're shepherding folks through the process so we can, if there's an issue, we can identify it quickly and help get you what you're trying to get out of, whichever respective use case you're using. But the subscription service is our paid case finding on demand solution for these smaller facilities. You can certainly try it for free again before moving into the subscription service. But once you're ready to move forward, reach out to me. I provide access to the subscription link. You'll have 4 tiered options to choose from based on your annual report volume. We'll help you work into that. Price points are $250, $500, $750, or $1,000 a month based on your report volume, and we'll guide you towards the best fit. Once you complete your account setup, then you're immediately able to start uploading reports.
Excellent. Thank you. Here's a question. How are you securing the data uploaded to this web-based portal?
Yep. So we use TLS 1.2, the encryption. It's encrypted in transit. It's encrypted at rest. We don't store the data. We don't sell the data. And once we run those reports, the data is destroyed. So we have encryption in transit, encryption at rest, and then it's deleted.
Gotcha. I guess sort of just a question for you, Amanda. Like, who do you think would just be like an ideal sort of user of this product from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question. There was no specific person in mind, right? So going back to how we had talked previously, anybody that has to report cases to fulfill that mandated law requirement. So you could be an in-house employed hospital employee that does case finding on a regular basis. You might even be an outsourced employee who sees an opportunity to leverage this technology to help with those tasks. Or you could be, like I said, at a physician's office that has to report. You could be someone at an outpatient clinic like radiation oncology where they provide those services, or even laboratories who need to find those reportable cases. They process a lot of specimens, and sometimes drilling down to find those cancer cases can be a little bit tricky as well. So I think there's a whole host of potential end users for this particular product.
Yeah, and I'd like to add a little bit more there and just really, echo that. But we talked about those specific use cases and whether you're large or small, it really doesn't matter, right? So the try before you buy, validate the speed and the accuracy of our engine. Anybody should be using that. Everybody should be using that. Anybody who wants to see what technology looks like, they're entering into an evaluation process. They're in an evaluation process, and they want to compare our speed and accuracy against another vendor's. And then the small facilities, they have a tool. You can still do the try before you buy first, validate that this is going to work for you, get everything squared away from an HL7 formatting standpoint, and you're ready to rock and roll. And I would say anybody who's looking to improve efficiency in their workflow, reduce costs, overall costs, and especially just get this off your mind if you're a HIM director that's, like I said earlier, oh, by the way, you have to take care of all the cancer reporting and abstracting, then it just weighs on them. That's not their primary job, but they have to do it. So now instead of it just constantly being a psychological, emotional drag on them, they have a tool.
Gotcha. Can you talk about the implementation process, like how long it takes and what it looks like?
Yeah. So I mean, there's no implementation. You don't have to implement anything. Nothing is installed on-prem. This is all in our secure, web application. So, the longest part of your implementation is probably your quote unquote implementation is probably getting the HL7 feed formatted or the HL7 reports formatted correctly from your IT team. And if they can't get that done, then again, let us know what you have. We'll work with you. The cost that Amanda mentioned earlier is just going to be a pass-through cost. This is not a revenue generator to help folks get their data in a format that can be leveraged in this tool. It's just we do need to be paid for our time, but it's going to be the concept is to get this in a format that you can do either your validation or you can use your subscription.
All right, thanks. We're just about out of questions, guys. So if you have any last questions, go ahead and put them in now. Here's one. Is there support essentially or a contact if they have an issue or a question within the platform, or is that also AI based?
Yes, absolutely. We have those contact us buttons that I showed you in and outside of the program where you can always, it takes you right back to our website where you can fill out a form and someone from our team can be available to help out with any of the questions or concerns that you might have, whether it's filling out the form or whether it is, getting the report in the proper format, whatever the situation might be, we're always happy to help. So multiple ways to contact us. Of course, they are always welcome to reach out to me or Biff. Everybody here at Inspirata is very approachable and helpful.
Okay, thank you. One question here. Is this a downgrade of the data that ePath Plus extracts?
Yeah, I'll take the first shot at that, Amanda. So ePath Plus is the tool that does the data extraction of up to 120 plus NACER data elements. This is not intended in any way to replace that. This is just automated reportable only case finding for very small reporting facilities who don't have an automation tool already. Based on the volumes, if you're already using ePath and ePath Plus, it would be much more expensive for you to use the subscription tool than it would be to stay doing what you're doing. Not to mention you would lose the downstream integration component. So the subscription portion right now is specifically geared towards these smaller reporting facilities that don't have access to the scale and to the budget that the larger facilities have, but they can now have the same technology to power their automated reportable only case finding. These are all really, really good questions. And just want everybody to know we're just getting started bringing this to market. You're on the very front end. You are the first to see it. You're the first to hear about it. I'm personally confident this solution has the ability to disrupt the case finding workflow in a very positive way. And we're excited by everyone's attendance and participation today and what's to come. I'll say, Amanda, it was a short but valuable demonstration. And the discussion this morning, I know everyone at Inspirata is very excited to help smaller reporting facilities leverage this technology cost effectively, and all facilities use our tool to help ensure they're making their vendor evaluations eyes wide open. So appreciate the time today. And Jason, appreciate you guys for facilitating.
My pleasure. I guess that takes us to the end of the questions and the end of today's time. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our speakers, and have a great day.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.